It was a bunch of different. Sounds like the accidental almost deckless guy, the Brock McCullum, isn't a feature match this round. We'll see if we can actually feature him.
Yeah, so we got a different McCullum in the last round.
Yes.
We'll see who we have here in a second. So for round 1, we saw Rand Mana versus Mono Blue. Once again, this is Legacy. Like, in Standard, you have an idea of what you can see every round in Legacy. It could actually just be anything.
It's very possible that less than 5 people are playing, like, Mono Blue. I'd be willing to say that out of the 200 people, maybe 2 more are playing that deck.
I mean, Chris Cronenberg is in that room, so he's clearly playing it.
Okay.
All right, so we have Kenny Mayer versus Brandon Williams.
I heard a little bit about Kenny Mayer's deck.
Same. I saw him holding up some cards over there that looked pretty exciting.
So he's, as far as...
Ruben Bressler comes over and apologizes for his match.
So Kenny Mayer is playing what I've been told is it's a junk deck. But
as usual for Kenny Mayer, but there's a little twist. It's got a plot twist.
See, he's got crop rotation here. And he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 singleton lands. Now, admittedly, 3 of those are just different black fetch lands to dodge, various Pithy Needle effects. But he's got Karakas, Bajuka Box. It's a Jerry step of a crop rotation to turn it into a Blessed Breath or whatever. Stave Off is the new one. Volrath Stronghold, Riftstone Portal, Tabernacle, and Cabal Pit. We were talking about this. Things you can do to beat a Grand Abolisher.
Cabal Pit is
one of them.
You can still activate abilities of lands, so if your opponent has a Grand Abolisher, you can still Cabal Pit. But the big secret of this deck, I think, is the Dark Depths engine.
Yes.
It's a junk deck with Vampire Hexmage and Dark Depths combo in it.
Yes, and crop rotation is your tutor for that. You can also get Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth to make all your lands make black mana. Wasteland off crop rotation. There's a lot of things you can do.
And of course, along with the side of crop rotation, there's also the more standard Nether Reliquary, which can search up any of the numerous lands.
Right. Kenny also has an Entomb, which can get Life from the Loam. He has Life from the Loam to get back all of these lands.
So excited. We're just talking about this.
Yeah, this deck is actually everything we were talking about. He has Dark Confidant to get back card advantage. He has Hymn to Torok, one of the real sources of card advantage in this format.
Now I know what Callie Anderson feels like every second of her life. I'm so excited.
He's playing against
so good.
Goblins.
Playing against Goblins? Alright. No, Goblins doesn't have any flying creatures.
Can he have a moat?
What? No, you Dark Depths. It's 2020. You're dead.
Oh, well, yeah, that could happen. But you know what he has? Wasteland.
Oh, well, that kind of sucks. That's not cool, dude.
It looks like this Goblin player has a 0-card sideboard as well.
Wait, what? So
doesn't matter.
no sideboard Goblins. Like we're not joking. There's no sideboard written on this deck list.
Yeah. There's actually a 0 in the card count for the sideboard. This is an intentional
it was
0.
Intentionally 0-card sideboard.
Yes.
I'm so excited about this Entomb Life from the Loam.
This is Legacy.
I've wanted the Entomb for Life from the Loam for so long. So long. I'm so happy.
I was just counting the number of mana-producing lands Kenny has. He has 21, the majority of which make black mana, which makes sense given his double black Hexmage and Hymn to Torok. He actually looks like he's almost mono black for most of the deck, and then he's just like splashing Knight of the Reliquary and crop rotation almost. He has swords, sure, he's got Life from the Loam, but basically just mono black.
I'm excited. I'm pretty excited to check this out. So here we go to the match: Kenny Mayer versus Brandon Williams. Kenny Mayer playing this really, really neat
everything
dark junk deck.
Yeah. Kenny Mayer is on the left.
Junk Depths is what he's calling it.
He's calling it Junk Depths. Kenny Mayer is on the left. Brandon Williams is on the right. So on the left side you will see Vampire Hexmages, Dark Depths, and Dark Confidants. And on the right side you will see Goblin Lackeys, Aether Vials, and Goblin War Chiefs.
Oh, dude, we missed the most important part of Kenny's deck. He's got Mental Misstep in there too.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, both decks have main deck off-color Mental Missteps. So people talked about this when the card came out, and it just didn't happen then, but maybe it's going to start.
No blue mana in either deck.
Nope.
That's so insane to me. What craziness we see in this Legacy format every single time.
Kenny probably has it so he can Mental Misstep swords, which is really important, or stifles.
Swords, stifles, various things that go on. So Brandon Williams kicks it off Scalding Tarn.
Does not have a turn 1 Lackey or Vial.
Kenny kicks it off with Bloodstained Mire.
Brandon is just a very traditional old Goblins deck aside from the Missteps. He has 2 of those, but he does not have the new double Lackey, the Warren Instigator at all. He has a Tin Street Hooligan and a Taiga to go with that. 2 street CGN commanders. He's got only 2 Mog War Marshals. He even has a Skirk Prospector. That one I have not seen in a while. That one's from way back. No Warren Weirdings, just very straightforward goblins. Though to be fair, Warren Weirding's not as good now as it was a couple of months ago. So Brandon, both players passed on turn 1 without a play, and Brandon has a Goblin Pile Driver with a Wasteland and a Mountain in play. Kenny has his Tabernacle in his opening hand.
Oh, wow. That Tabernacle could be brutal against this Goblin stack.
He's going to have to deal with that Wasteland first, but if he has Life in the Loam, if he has an Entomb for that Life in the Loam...
Oh, man. Cannot wait to see it, Life in the Loam Entomb. I really hope. There's only a single Entomb in Kenny's deck, but if he draws it, it's just so sweet. And if he has Loam going too, you can also just Entomb for the land you want.
Yeah. It does everything.
It's pretty sweet. You can pump through Nether Reliquary.
Yeah. What else can you do with it in this deck?
Get your Riftstone Portal.
Yeah.
When you have Volrath's Stronghold to find a creature.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say there's no way to get a creature, but you can do that? Oh, wow. Actually does everything.
It's pretty insane.
Out of the board, you can get a Dark Blast. Oh, wow.
Pretty cool. Pretty excited about Kenny Mayer right now. All right, so...
Hymn to Torok happens.
Hymn to Torok, pretty brutal.
Especially off of these non-lackey starts, when you actually have to start playing lands.
You just hymn the right cards, and apparently Matt Scott played Kenny's deck in the Legacy Challenge yesterday. Don't know how Matt did, but Eric Klug
looks
doing
like
Ultra Sears.
Kenny hits Tin Street Hooligan and a Gem Palm Incinerator. Pile Driver gets in for 1. And there's a Rishid Import in play. So that's going to lock down green mana. Kenny draws an Urborg. Not of the Legends variety, obviously.
Yeah. Although, who knows in this deck, right?
Yeah, it could
Sometimes
be
you really need to stop banding. Like, where's his answer to banding with Entomb?
I know. Kenny does not have a basic land in this deck.
Or an answer to banding.
No, he does not.
There's Dark Confidant now for Kenny Mayer.
Brandon has a Mountain in hand that he drew for the turn, but he opts to play a second Rishid Import. Just keep Kenny off of mana. Are we looking up what the original Urborg actually does?
Yeah, it's in a Masters edition. Oh, base creature lose first strike or Swamp Walk.
Oh, that's even better. That might be relevant someday, you know? Let's see.
For everyone asking, there is a deck tech for Kenny Mayer's deck that Glenn Jones did. It'll be going up on StarCityGames.com soon. Just keep your eyes peeled for it.
So Kenny flips to Bob, not see what he flipped, but he had his Urborg and his Scrubland ported after Brandon chose not to attack with Pile Driver. Looks like Brandon doesn't really want to trade here. Might have a Siege Gang Commander in hand.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why Brandon doesn't want to trade, although Dark Confidant's stream of cards is certainly...
Yeah, I was going to say, Dark Confidant looks a little bit better, and that looks like is that a Wasteland?
I think it's a Wasteland of his own.
I think he wants to Wasteland that Wasteland right now. Nope, just going to play another Bob. I guess Brandon, the only card Brandon really has been signaling that it would be devastating is Siege Gang Commander, so I guess Siege Gang Commander, if he taps out for it against this Tabernacle, might not be the best. Dark Confidants reveals Swords in an Urborg. Kenny goes to 17.
Okay. Yeah, now that Confidants should give Kenny the stream of card advantage he needs.
Port is going to tap down Wasteland and Urborg.
Okay.
I don't know why you tapped down Urborg there.
Tapping down Urborg is never right?
Right, because these other lands make real mana, and Urborg just makes black mana. Kenny drew a mental misstep for the turn.
Craziness. Misstep. Can you just imagine getting misstepped, like your lackey misstep or something like that?
Oh gosh, yeah. That would, like, they misstep and you're like, okay, let's play against a blue deck, and then you just go like, I'm gonna fetch. Yeah, like they like have just a fetch land to play. They misstep, and they on top of just fetch 2 black lands that are like Scrubland Bayou, him you. Just like what?
Yeah, looks like a Hex Mage. All right, the jig is up. There's only one reason why that card's here. And Brandon Williams knows it.
Looks like it's just going to be a beatdown crew, though. 2 Bobs and a Hex Mage taking him to town.
I mean, good thing Brandon Williams doesn't have an Urborg, or he could really deal with that Hex Mage with by giving it, losing first strike.
Yeah. Oh, that Urborg.
Yeah, that Urborg.
Yeah. Wasteland takes down the tapped Wasteland.
All right.
And Kenny uses his fetch to get, presumably, Well, he's got Bayou or Scrubland. That's his choices.
Scrubland is what he gets. Okay.
Yep, goes with the 2 swords in his hand.
Yeah.
If I'm Kenny, I might want to swords as pile driver. Brandon looks like he's been protecting it pretty hard, and you just want to beat down here, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
doesn't alter your clock.
Pretty slow draw by Brandon Williams here.
Yeah, no 1-drops, and that's pretty problematic for goblins.
Yeah. Swords down the pile driver.
He did have his incinerator discarded, which would have been really key here. So, him strikes again.
All right.
Bob reveals a wasteland and a Bob.
Does he dare go for the triple Bob?
Oh yeah, it's not even triple Bob. It's just Goblin Piker. Okay, they're just Goblin Pikers.
Kravakian Scoundrel, I think is what that guy's called.
Oh yeah, my bad. My bad. Looks like Kenny drew a him, giving him a few options.
I don't think you want to accidentally lose this game, so I'm pretty sure you just him here.
Well, he doesn't have anything to really flip. Like, what are you going to flip? 3 Knight of the Reliquaries and take 9? That's the worst case scenario. Kenny wastes the Taiga. I don't know if that's correct. I think the only card that Goblins really Taigas out is Tint Street, and that's already in the graveyard. I think it may have been better to just waste a port so you aren't locked off of mana. But Kenny chooses to him, and Brandon Williams is playing off the top.
And Brandon Williams discards a Mental Misstep, so Kenny knows that exists. Useful.
Looks like Brandon drew an Aether Vial, which doesn't really help much.
You don't want to get your crop rotation Mental Misstep. All right, and Brandon Williams
just packs it in.
Yeah, Brandon just had an abysmal draw there. Only 1 Goblin, right?
He discarded 2 Goblins to the him, I believe.
Well, yeah, but I guess that's fair. Him, you hit the right cards, you can beat anybody, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The time
yeah, he discarded Tin Street and Incinerator. Incinerator would have been huge because the cycling just puts you up a card, kills the Bob too. Just so many things.
Yeah, that would have been really strong. Yeah, so look at the sideboard here. Let's first look at Kenny's list. What do you think we're going to bring in? Diabolic Edict, yes.
Maybe. Swords for sure.
Swords for sure. Misstep.
I can see Dark Blast coming in. Misstep for sure.
Dark Blast definitely. It's a great answer to Lackey and other goblins.
Yeah, Kenny, not Nature's Claim. Maybe just these Edicts, Mental Misstep, Swords. You might want to cut down on maybe the Dark Depths part of the deck. Like, you might just not want more than 1 Dark Depths post board.
Yeah, if you're going to like Ported and Wastelanded.
Yeah. You don't want Crows and Grips, Surgical Extraction, Aethers from Canis. Oh, and it looks like Kenny is very prepared for Highbind with 3 Angel's Grace. What a hit.
Yeah, I was going to say, with all the talk about Angel's Grace going around, that seems like something that...
well, I was about to see what... Yeah, no.
Yeah, there's no sideboard for Brandon Williams.
I was about to look like maybe he wants to board it. Nope, nothing.
No.
Okay, well.
Oh, man. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, this deck by Kenny is really neat. I know Kenny for a long time, and he's played some interesting decks, and this is certainly pretty
one
cool.
One of the best I've seen so far.
Yeah. And you also got to admire Brandon Williams' spunk. No sideboard.
No sideboard, no fear, playing Goblins. Let's go.
I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Goblins is good now. Or maybe not now. Maybe it was good a few weeks ago. I don't even know anymore. The metagame in Legacy has actually started changing, and that's nice.
And it's not only week to week. It's location to location too. Different places have different Legacy metagames.
Like I know Cali is historically combo ridden, and that really showed in the one there. That was the one with like High Tide Dread, or was it the California Open? Was either the one where
there's 7 combo decks in top 8.
Yeah.
Or
I know Liam Kane top 8 with his test deck. I remember he lost a Painter's grind in the finals, like Painter versus I don't remember what the other deck Painter played against, but it was just all combo all day.
Yeah, there's Patrick Sullivan top it with his mono red deck
and died immediately. Yeah.
I believe in game 3 he got killed on the first turn, right?
Yes, that sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah. So it's all kinds of different things going on depending on where you are in the world. So pretty cool stuff. All right, so it looks like players are cutting each other's decks and about to check out the opening hands for game 2. See what we find. Kenny, see a lot of lands in his hand.
There's an Urborg. How many lands is he actually playing in his deck?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
15. He's playing 27 lands, but 2 are Maze Abyss,
3 are Dark Depths.
3 are Dark Depths, and 1's a Tabernacle.
Although Urborg is so cute in this deck because with Dark Depths and Maze Abyss.
And Tabernacle.
Yeah. And Riftstone Portal too, don't forget that one.
New Urborg teams up with Old Tabernacle. Yeah, well, Ristone Portal makes mana normally.
But when it's in your graveyard, like it makes them.
Oh, all your lands are
board.
super good.
Yeah, so it's like an extra herb board.
Kenny Mayer sending his hand back.
And here's the thing about Ristone Portal is for a while on Magic Online, if you had Horizon Canopy and Ristone Portal,
you just took one.
It was like there wasn't like a window that said which one was a damage and which one was like
non-damage.
Which one was non-damage.
Oh, so you just like tap it and just not.
Yeah.
So you tap it and then like you took the damage, you control Z. Yeah. If you're at 1 life, that's real gutsy.
Eventually they fixed it, so it's like tap for a green, now tap for a white. Anyway, turn 1 Lackey for Brandon Williams. That's what Brandon Williams wants to do. Kenny doesn't have the misstep for it.
He could have the swords. He could have Mox Diamond into a Dark Confidant.
Wonder if he's got a Dark Blast. Oh, it takes the Lackey hit. What's going to come in?
Uh-oh.
Ringleader. That's dangerous.
No, this has historically been better. So this Ringleader is going to reveal Pile Driver and Matron. And Kenny doesn't really have any good sweeper, so it's pretty easy for him to fall behind very early and not be able to catch up. A Vampire Hexmage here might help him keep up, but that's not going to last long because... Oh, with a Dark Depths, though, that might be enough. Oh, wow. And this is Shades of Old Extended with, you know, turn 2, make a 20/20, good luck. And I don't actually know how Brandon Williams can stop this. He's actually just dead on board and has no outs. Suddenly from being, you know, super far ahead on turn 1 and about to win the game pretty much because Kenny didn't really have any good ways to get back in and interact. He's just comboed out and dead. Well, welcome to Legacy. Yeah, and all enabled off of that Urborg. And yeah, that was fast and brutal. Different from the usual junk deck endgames where you just sort of, you know, make a bunch of knights, grind them out with a bunch of wastelands, and just eventually kill them. So Kenny's going to take this, but I don't think it really matters. Puts him down to 16. And Brandon passes the turn in the hopes that Kenny forgets it has this Dark Depths token as flying. Kenny opts not to play the second Urborg first main in order to Legend Rule himself to just have a 20/20 in play, and ends the game. Well, so taking another look at Kenny Mayer's deck, it's a real interesting brew. If you just came in, you saw the Vampire Hexmage half of the deck, but we also mentioned it had a junk half. It's got Dark Confidant, Knight of the Reliquary, him, Mox Diamond, all very traditional green, white, black junk cards. You know, swords. But then it's got this like very interesting engine. Well, first off, he has Mental Missteps, off-color Mental Missteps there to protect the Dark Depths token from Swords, Path to Exile, Stifle, but he's got Crop Rotation. That's his tutor for Dark Depths, but it also gets this great tutor package. He has Maze of Ith, Karakas, Bajuka Bog in the main deck, Sajiri Step in the main deck, Riftstone Portal, Tabernacle of Pendrel Veil, Cabal Pit, and Volrest Stronghold. He also has Life from the Loams to go with this. He's got the traditional junk card Sensei's Divining Top, but he's got this 1 Entomb, and this 1 Entomb actually does everything. So we started off and we're like, oh, it just gets, you know, you can entomb Life from the Loam, and you can entomb, you know, all these singleton lands. You can entomb Riftstone Portal and, you know, make all your lands perfect mana. You can then Life from the Loam back, you know, entomb any of your lands singleton the back. And then we realized you have a Volrest Stronghold. So you can, you know, get that into play, Life from the Loam back into play that maybe, and just entomb Knight of the Reliquaries, Hexmages, Dark Confidants, and all of a sudden entomb's just a tutor for everything. And then out of the board, he's just basically stacked up on combo hate, Angel's Grace, Aethersworn Canonist, Surgical Extractions. On the other hand, the Goblins deck is one that hasn't really seen that much play lately because of misstep, but, you know, it did well at the Invitational, and here it is again. I expect this deck to make some more showings. Okay, so actually we have Kenny Mayer right here in the booth to talk about his deck. So, here you go. So where do you want to start with it?
That I am still very new to the deck. Only probably like 10, 15 games in my belt. It's not my deck at all. The exact 75 is, I guess, a Moto Grinder, MTG Collector, I think is his name. Has been doing the dailies on Moto, and I was gonna play my usual junk deck going into this event, but Jerry was like, you have to play something that's like more powerful, that does something, you know, and
well, we saw it that last game. It definitely does something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you make a turn 2 20-20.
Yeah, sometimes there are just no outs, and yeah, that's how that happens. So let's go through some of the tutor targets. Maze of Ith, obviously a really good land, just generic tutor target. All the Knight of the Reliquary decks have it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's 2. You've played this a lot. Is there any huge difference between 2 and 1?
I think you can afford to run 2. Like, I mean, because of the Urborg and the Riftstone portal, like not tapping for mana is not a huge deal, and having like, you know, extra ways to deal, like if they have, you know, 2 fat guys that you can't deal with, or if you want to give one of your guys vigilance and keep one of their guys back, or what, it gives you some versatility that doesn't really
untap the knight in combat or do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's less of a non-land, less of a spell, more of a land in this deck because of Urborg.
It's like 50-50. Yeah.
So Caracas is pretty standard. Bounces Emrakul's, bounces Jing attacks, bounces Iona's, bounces, you know, various other things, merit lage tokens. Yeah. In case that ever happens.
I have to be looking out for cards that I'm looking out for in Legacy are Caracas, Wasteland, Swords, and Path. Those are the main things. Once my token's on the board, I got to be worried about.
That's why you have mental misstep, right? Swords and Path and Stifle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bajuka Bog, pretty standard out of the Reliquary package. So Jiri Step's one that you don't really see that often in Legacy, but it made a huge splash in Standard and Extended.
Exactly. Seems very good with the crop rotation and the Knights. So.
Yeah, that just really hasn't made the splash into Legacy. Is that mostly because
probably don't have the room?
Exactly. Don't have the room for these play tap white lands. And especially because most of the Knight of the Reliquary decks are really splashing white for Knight most of the time. Knight and Swords, and don't really want that many basic planes.
Exactly.
Volrath Stronghold's an awesome card.
Yeah.
That card just, you know...
It allows this deck to grind, I think. Yeah. Like when you have Stronghold, Loam, Hex Mage, and Depth, like those 4 cards, when you will eventually assemble that unless they interact with your graveyard, and that's inevitability. Sometime in 2020 it's going to get you.
Right. I know a lot of times just like, I've seen Academy runes do the same thing so many more times, but Volrath Stronghold, you know, creatures are pretty good at grinding. You know, artifacts are good, but you know, creatures can kill your opponent, I hear sometimes.
I agree.
So you got Riftstone Portal. It's kind of your way to entomb for mana fixing. Tabernacle is awesome and matchup dependent. You know. Yeah,
like if the game, like game 1 had played out differently, like I had the Tabernacle in my hand, if he had swarmed the board and stuff like that, like that's a nice little ouch you got to like goblins going.
If you had an opportunity to wasteland his wasteland and maybe get the Tabernacle and you could just lock him out of the game or something. And then Cabal Pits. What's that one doing?
It's killing Stoneforges and whatever. Like it's kind of nice to have a when I was playing some games before the event, like Cabal Pit came up. Like they would like play Stoneforge, and they would try to equip, and I would like Knight for Cabal Pit. Like it just seemed like it was just nice to have. Like, I mean, obviously I could have also had like Fetch Maze and stuff like that. So it may not be necessary. It may just be kind of cute.
Kills Dark Confidant. That's an important one. There's a few things it does kill that are important.
Like 7 cards is a lot, but
one thing we've been discussing actually with Cabal Pit is if your opponent has Grand Abolisher in play, it says non-land.
Oh, wow.
And you can activate Cabal Pit and kill their Grand Abolisher. So if you happen to play against Cephalid Breakfast and they go for that.
I have an out.
Yes.
But I have to find it on my turn, though.
Yes, you have to have it in play first.
I just hope they don't notice that little interaction,
So no basics, just too many non-basics. Like you're already vulnerable to Wasteland, there's no reason to have a basic.
You got Loam, so that kind of helps you in the Wasteland department. So.
Only 2 tops?
The list I copied had. I'm assuming the tops are just better than having like the 4th misstep and the 4th swords in matchups where you don't really want them. I'm assuming that's where the numbers came from. That's how they play. Like,
it's just not a 1-for-1. It's a kind of stays as a card in your hand. Doesn't actually like if you had an Entomb like another Entomb or something to find stuff, it would just be costing you more cards in hand.
Yeah, like Entomb and crop rotation. Like there's a lot of, and Mox Diamond, and to a certain extent Hex Mage and Depths are all kind of like card disadvantage, kind of going all in. Right. You try to recoup that with like Dark Confidant, Life from the Loam and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that was the discussion we were having last round. We featured the Chris Cronenberger mono blue deck against Reanimator. We're talking about how even this big blue deck doesn't really have a good way in it to recoup card advantage. It's got Jace, but Jace is just going to kill them regardless.
Yeah.
And like your other card draws was like Brainstorm. You have one Cryptic Command that's a 2 for 1. And like that's about all you got. Yeah. So him in this deck is one of your 2-for-1s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Dark Confidant are just your Mox Diamond max. You just maximize on your turn 1 plays. Yeah.
There's 31 mana sources in this deck. If you count some of the lands, I guess it's 25 if you count Mox Diamond and the lands. But there's 21 actual. But there's 31 cards that people would start counting as lands, including Mox Diamond. And is there enough gas or?
Seems like it so far. Like I mean, a lot of your lands are actually spells. Like they.
Right.
Like they're. Yeah.
And then the creatures, not either Reliquary, Dark Confidant, Hex Mage, don't want Tarmogoyf. That's not what you're doing. You're just
making 20/20s.
Yeah, making
4/5s are not.
Yeah, I mean, none of the Reliquary is sometimes a little smaller than 20/20, but like 15/15 is big enough, right? And Dark Confidant draws you 20/20s.
Yeah, I played round 1 against Zoo and didn't see any of the combo in game 1. I just Knight of the Reliquary, 4 Wastelanded. Yeah. And I mean that just does it.
So in the sideboard, you have a Dark Blast to Entomb 4, another Misstep, another Swords, Diabolic Edict for Progenitus.
I'm assuming that's it hasn't come up yet, and like I said, I'm still new to the deck for the most part. But
fair enough.
But I do.
Keep going.
Go ahead.
2 Nature's Claim, Crows and Grip.
One Nature's Claim.
Other way around. 1 Nature's Claim, 2 Crows and Grips. Is that for equipment off Stoneforge? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Humility maybe, Enchantress stuff.
Solitary Confinement, just all the random stuff that Legacy can present to you.
Good old catch-alls.
Yeah.
You got Surgical Extraction, not standard, but fairly average
nice utility card.
Either Sworn Canist, a couple of those. And then we got an interesting one.
Oh, everybody knows what this card's for by now.
Well, everyone knows, but no one plays it. Is Hivemind that big of a threat? Is it narrow enough, or do you just copy the list?
It's for Ben. I just copied the list, but it's for Ben Weinberg. We hopefully battle later on.
Yeah, okay. He may or may not have posted that on Facebook. Ready to lose to Angel's Grace because it's going to happen, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, I know. I'm sure they have some outs to it, but I mean, I just want to do it.
Just want to get him once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's so bad. Like. It's so weird as a card because it's so bad against all the other combo decks. Like Painter, okay, mill you. Angel's Grace, cool. Draw another card next turn. Storm, okay. Angel's Grace, well, it's loss of life, so you're at negative past the turn.
I was like, burn. I guess I counter your final burn spell.
Reanimator. It's like, well, you have no cards in hand and aren't playing spells, but you get another turn.
Yeah.
And like all the other combo decks, I'll attack you with Emrakul. All Angel's Grace. Okay, well, you have no permanents in play, but good luck.
Yeah.
There's just so many other combo decks that just don't care. But Hivemind, okay, Angel's Grace, pass, you lose the game. Good luck.
Exactly. Hivemind's a really good deck. So
it is. It's definitely a lot better than people think it is.
This deck's. I'm pretty sure it's fine against the blue decks and any kind of deck that tries to attack you like Goblins, Zoo, Merfolk, or anything like that. It's the decks that interact with you on a Tendrils or the Hivemind decks, stuff like that you're gonna have.
It's definitely really good against the fair decks because against the beatdown decks that usually are good against the other fair decks like Goblins we saw, you just have this combo that can kill them.
Yeah.
And then against the more controlling fair decks, you have Dark Confidant, Neither Reliquary, him, and those are all really hard for them to deal with.
Yeah, and you can just make your land drops. You can wasteland without abandon, because you're gonna make your land drops every single turn, and you can just possibly just win the game by cutting them off.
Oh, and Life from the One. That's another card that traditionally just wrecks other fair decks. These control decks, they're built to answer your threats as you draw them. But when you're, drawing 3 lands a turn, if those lands are threats, they just don't really have a good way to do this. Yeah. And you can always just Dark Depths the 20/20 into play in the end. Have you ever done that? Just paid for it hard?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Hopefully sometime today I can say that check that box off right there. But
pay the 30, kill them.
Yeah, 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little by little. My actual goal today is to have Emrakul on Chump Block duty today. I want Emrakul on Chump Block duty today.
Ooh, I like that one.
That's my goal.
That's a good one. You seem to come into these events with a lot of goals like that, Battle of the Wit.
I did want to show and tell how Battle of the Wits, and it happened. That was very lucky.
That was classic. So. Sometimes Emrakul's not even good enough as a chump blocker.
2020.
Yeah.
What do you do?
2020, you mean win the game? Yeah. Anything else about the deck?
Just it's very exciting so far. Hopefully the day continues to go well for me. I'm hopeful, but I did mess up I think last round. I got kind of like, I just stopped really thinking too much when I got the turn 2 2020, but I definitely should have blocked the Lackey instead of the pile driver right there, because he could have, the Lackey didn't matron and then found Sting Scourger and bounced my guy, and I was just, I blanked on it until right after I did. I was like,
that's fair.
Why did I do that? Like,
one of the things I was watching game 1, I noticed you didn't want to, the first time he was about to get the 5 mana and he was tapped out, you didn't wasteland his wasteland, I felt.
Yeah.
I was thinking that maybe the way he played and like preserved the pile driver represented that he had a siege gang commander, but I just wanted to like.
I didn't know like what to play around it at, like for a while, because like he just wasn't doing anything. Like I mean, he just playing land drops and stuff like that. I was like, I'm fine with just getting up on him with cards with a swords and a misstep in my hand. Like I was like even siege gang, I'm not really that worried about here.
You had the tabernacle too if he taps
I
out,
had the tabernacle in my hand, so I was just like, I'm just gonna keep drawing cards and beating down. If he wants to trade his pile driver for my confidence, fine. I got another one in my hand, and like it was just, I just felt like he drew really poorly. Like it was.
Let's see if people out on Twitter have any other questions. For those who were wondering about the Sting Scourger, his list, as far as I remember, does not have that card. So that is why that did not happen. The Sting Scourger play you were talking about.
Okay.
Someone else brought it up.
Did he have a matron in his hand? Because I would have just felt terrible.
He revealed a matron off the ringleader. So yeah. What else were you considering for this event, other than this deck?
I was just gonna play like Junk or Zoo, what I usually just decks that usually go X into it. These things, like I mean, they're, I don't know, nothing this exciting. I'm very happy that Jerry pointed this out to me.
Yeah, I actually had this discussion with someone I know. For those of you watching, Matt McCullough, who was featured on camera round 1, he was talking about whether he wanted to play a blue-black combo deck, maybe top 8, maybe not, or whether he just wanted to play Zoo, because he knew if he played Zoo at this event, he's like 80 to 90% that he's just going to X through the event, money, probably top 16, and just go home. Or he can play the combo deck and maybe go big and win the whole thing. So
yeah,
there's definitely a safe choice versus, possible winner choice in Legacy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, this format it's insanely random. Like, you never know what you're going to play against. Like, you just kind of cross your fingers and hope. So.
Yeah, with Zoo, it's just like, well, I'll probably play against 2 random combo decks that I have no way to interact with over the course of rounds, and I'll die.
Yeah.
And you accept that. Sometimes maybe one of the random combo players messes up. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're like a Storm player who ad nauseum's into Fire Blast range, or just doesn't know what they're doing.
Or maybe you somehow are able to beat them with the Hate Bears, even though we all know that never actually happens.
Doesn't happen. Or like a Reanimator player who plays the card Reanimate and dies. Mm-hmm. Or a Hive Mind player who doesn't actually know what's going on and like...
Yeah.
Actually, Hive Mind's pretty easy. You just play your cards and they die.
Yeah.
Maybe you just get to pay for Packs of the Titan, they don't know about it. Painter Grindstone just Consolidate Pride Mage out. Just like something random. It can happen.
Yeah, but it's still like very, very difficult to pull that off. Like winning with Zoo in a field of Legacy, like the deck is awesome and it's consistent and I love it. And props to Pat Cox for taking down the Invitational with that deck. But I don't know if I can do it right now. I've tried it the last couple events, and I just like there's just random like moats and like just like Hive Mind combo decks. It's just like it's insane. Like the field is so harsh.
At the Invitational, it was a very different story. Like the Open and the Invitational are just so different. It's like if I were to play in an Open, I would just snap play Storm. It's not even close. But if I were to play the Invitational again, there's no way I would play that deck.
Yeah.
I played 6 of my 7 rounds against Forcible Mental Misstep decks.
Yeah.
And that was like, well, that's lucky I didn't play the 7th against. Like you'd walk up down the tables, it'd be like Merfolk versus Stoneforge Mystic, Stoneforge Mystic versus Bant versus Team America, Stoneforge Mystic Mirror, Stoneforge Mystic Mirror, Merfolk Mirror. Just like, okay.
Yeah, I think.
And then there's like one lone guy who's playing like junk.
Yeah, I played against like 6 or 7 Forcible Metal Misstep decks in the Legacy portion.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
The top 8 really showed that. It's just there's a lot of Zoo, there's Goblins, just all these decks that really preyed on those decks that really did well in the Legacy portion.
Yeah, metagame better than you or me.
Yeah, but in these opens though, like you play Zoo and it's like round 4 and you play against Enchantress and you're like, wait, where did you come from? What are you doing here? You play against the Enchantress guy in round 4, and then you win your next few against, round stuff, and then the round 7, your opponent just goes like turn 1, land, Putrid Imp, Bane Grave Troll, Lion's Dynamic, crack it, get back, deep analysis, and you're just like, okay, we're done here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Gotta pay for them all. So what other decks did you, or I guess, what other decks do you think are like really good today?
This format continues to baffle me. That's why I just stick by my old standbys. I assume the blue-white decks are still good. I can't see Force of Momentum Misstep and Brainstorm really
Fading away.
being bad, like especially when you have Stoneforge. Like, I mean, I was playing a few games against somebody with this deck earlier against that deck, and it was surprisingly pretty reasonable for me. Like I would just try to play through Wasteland and Swords as much as possible, and the rest of it just kind of fell into place. Like, I mean, it was kind of like, I mean, it wasn't a huge sample size, but it felt pretty good. I got the vibe that it was a pretty reasonable matchup.
It definitely helps that your opponent might not know what's going on at every point in time, and just
Yeah.
like, you have to really evaluate, what's in your hand, like what's in their hand. Are they going to combo me? Or are they going to knight me? Is this knight something I have to swords, or if I swords it, do I just die?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might have no idea that knight can actually tap to put a 20/20 into play or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Knight of the Reliquary does get all of those lands we were talking about earlier. So on top of everything it does normally, normally just Wasteland locks people, gets Giant, gets Maze of Ith, Caracas. It does everything in this deck.
The only problem is there's really not that many fours or planes, but I mean, you have enough ways.
Yeah.
You have 3 fetch lands and 5 Knight of the Reliquary.
You can start
cards,
Life from the
but-
Looming, some lands to tutor for some more lands.
Yeah, I mean, and you got like crop rotations and whatever.
So we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
But right after this, we'll be back with Tim Skowski, the standard open winner, to talk about his Callblade deck. So
We were playing
we'll
the
be right
same
back.
thing yesterday. Me and Tim were working on the deck, but fortunately I ended up 2-2 and he ended up winning. So, well, congrats to him actually. He did really well. So.
The deck's awesome. So
Yeah, it is.
good luck today, Kenny.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.